Picture this. It's 1927. Jazz is playing in speakeasies, the economy is booming, and New York City is the symbol of modern American life. But in a small Automat restaurant, a woman sits completely alone, staring into her coffee cup. This is Edward Hopper's Automat, and it might be the most emotionally powerful painting of urban isolation ever created. Today, we're diving deep into this masterpiece that predicted the loneliness of modern life almost a century before we started talking about it. First, let's talk about what an automat actually was, because most people today have never seen one. Automats were the fast food restaurants of the early 20th century, but way cooler. Picture walls of small glass doors, each containing a different dish. You'd drop coins into a slot, the door would open, and you'd grab your food. No human interaction required. The first automat opened in Philadelphia in 1902, but they became synonymous with New York City life. By the 1920s, there were dozens of them throughout Manhattan. They were democratic places where a millionaire and a factory worker could eat the same meal at the same counter. But here's the thing, they were also incredibly lonely places. Let's look at what Hopper actually painted. We see a woman in a green coat and black hat, sitting at a small table. She's holding a cup of coffee, staring downward, lost in thought. The setting is sparse, just the woman, her table, and those characteristic automat windows reflecting the city lights outside. But here's where Hopper's genius shows. Notice how the woman is positioned. She's not centered in the composition. She's pushed to the right, making the empty space around her feel even more vast and lonely. The yellow light from inside contrasts sharply with the dark city night visible through the windows. And those windows, they're not just windows, they're like a barrier between her and the rest of the world. The reflections of the city lights create this almost prison-like effect, trapping her in this bubble of isolation. Who is this woman? Hopper never told us, and that's entirely the point. She could be anyone. A secretary after a long day, a woman waiting for a date who never showed up, someone who just moved to the big city and doesn't know a soul. Some art historians think she might be based on Hopper's wife, Jo, who often modeled for his paintings. But Jo Hopper was known to be quite social and outgoing, the opposite of this solitary figure. This suggests Hopper was creating a character, not painting a portrait. The woman's posture tells us everything. Her shoulders are slightly hunched, she's looking down, and her free hand rests on the table in a gesture that suggests resignation or deep thought. She's not just physically alone, she's emotionally isolated in a city of millions. Hopper was a master of what we call psychological realism. He didn't just paint what he saw, he painted what he felt. Look at his use of light and shadow. The harsh fluorescent lighting of the automat creates this cold, institutional feeling. It's the kind of lighting that makes everyone look a little sickly, a little more alone. The color palette is deliberately limited. Yellows, greens, and browns dominate. These aren't warm, comforting colors. They're the colors of urban alienation, of artificial light and industrial spaces. And notice the precision of his brushwork. Every line is deliberate, every shadow calculated. This isn't impressionistic, it's almost photographic in its clarity, which makes the emotional content even more powerful. Automat wasn't a one-off for Hopper. This theme of urban loneliness runs through his entire career. Think about Nighthawks, 1942, probably his most famous painting, showing people in an all-night diner. Or Room in New York, 1932, depicting a couple in their apartment, physically together but emotionally distant. Hopper was painting the psychological cost of modernization. In the 1920s, America was rapidly urbanizing. People were moving from small towns to big cities, from tight-knit communities to anonymous apartment buildings. The Automat was a perfect symbol of this new world, efficient, modern, but ultimately impersonal. The influence of Automat extends far beyond the art world. That sense of isolation in crowded spaces, that's pure Hopper. The painting has been referenced in everything from Madmen to Blade Runner. It's become shorthand for urban alienation, for the loneliness of modern life. In our age of social media and digital connection, Hopper's vision feels more relevant than ever. Here's what's incredible about Automat. Hopper painted it in 1927, but he could have painted it yesterday. Replace the Automat with a Starbucks, give the woman a smartphone, and the emotional content remains exactly the same. We live in the most connected age in human history, yet loneliness is epidemic. Studies show that despite our digital networks, people feel more isolated than ever. Hopper saw this coming almost a century ago. The painting asks us, in our rush toward modernity and efficiency, what are we losing? What's the human cost of our technological progress? Edward Hopper's Automat is more than just a painting. It's a prophecy. It warned us about the emotional price of modern life long before we were ready to listen. That woman in the green coat, sitting alone with her coffee, represents all of us at some point, caught between connection and isolation, between the promise of the city and its reality. The next time you're sitting alone in a coffee shop, surrounded by people but feeling completely alone, remember Hopper's Automat. You're not just having a moment, you're experiencing one of the defining emotions of the modern age. What do you think? Does Hopper's vision of urban loneliness still ring true today? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into art history.